I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get the next question to Todd because I know he's on vacation. Shout out real quick, Zero the Hero. He said shout out to an underrated YouTuber, man. What's good? What's up, man? Appreciate the $10 super chat, man.
Shout out to Zero the Hero.
So you could kick this one off, Todd, and then if you got a bounce, man, it's all good, man. We're gonna continue doing this at least on a monthly basis. So something I put in my notes about foreign. What I've noticed about foreign women is that I noticed that a lot of a misconception I had is that, let's say Colombian men, let's say they're machismo, or let's say they're known to be cheaters and have, they known to do a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Just like in the U.S., a foreign man is not going to be able to get away with what a local man can get away with. Have you noticed that? Or any of you guys noticed that?
True. True.
Yep. Oh
That's
yeah.
true.
We had it a high regard.
Huh?
Just the fact that we're in another country. There are certain things that we have to be wary of a lot of different things too. I mean, being an extra hero, we're a target. They already know. I mean, we might look Colombian, but the moment we open our mouth, they know right away that we're a target. So we're not going to be able to get away with a lot of the same things because we're going to be, not because we're held to a higher standard. It's because they think that it's an opportunity for them to get over on us, right? I mean, the price always seems to be a little bit higher for someone who's not from there than from someone who's a local. Or the behavior, the behavior is going to be, the expectation of behavior is going to be different. If I get into an argument with a local in the street, it's going to be escalated, and then I'm going to be the one that's going to be looked at crazy because I'm not from there.
More of like a relationship you can't get away with. Like, for example, with my wife, how should I say this? So let's just say I know a lot of women in Colombia where their fathers had outside children, right? And the mother stayed with them. They accepted it. They're not going to accept that from a foreign man.
I'm not even going to touch that because I'm not even thinking that way. I wouldn't even know.
Well, but I'm using that as an example. But as far as, because it's things that it's because I want to address things that guys may go into these countries thinking that, because some guys go to these countries and hear about their men and believe that they can be like those men in those countries. Just like if you're in the U.S., a man may be able to get away with something with an American black woman that she might not let a Nigerian man get away with, so to speak. Because in her mind is like, if I'm going to deal with this from you, I might as well be with a local man. So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Well, I would just say that I have a great respect for the way that Colombian women handle knives. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Any of y'all want to touch on that?
I'll chime in. I think that we're in serious relationships,
right?
So there's no trying to get away with anything. When you're in a serious relationship and you're really about that life of being in a serious relationship, being in a marriage. So I think that it's a little bit different for us. I mean, so we could turn around like this. I do hear that, let's say, for instance, Dominican dudes think American men are soft.
Okay.
Because what they do with their women versus when we come here, based on our culture, and we come here and we baby face. And I say we, I'm not talking about we, I'm talking about, we, I'll do all these things as soon as you get home from work, baby face, type thing. And that's the way they see it.
Mm.
And you know, but as far as the question of, you know, what can we get away with? I mean, if you're married, what you trying to get away with? You know, I mean, that's the way I see it. You know, I don't know how to see it no other way, because we're in this relationship and we got here by, you know, through trial and, you know, fire, and, you know, understanding that this is what we do. So we moving forward together, because if we trying to get away with something, then we not moving in the same place, and we can't get no further.
Or let's put it in this way. We're four men are put at set at a higher. They have higher standards for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Than their own.
There's so when you're saying for let's say it like this, for American men, their expectations are higher. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, not only financially, but the way to be treated, being more, being more romantic, this and that. Things that they compliment us on. So
we are. I say that.
But there are guys that aren't looking for. There are guys that think that they can mimic their men and bring and match that machismo culture. And so I'm trying to let them know that for women anywhere is not going to accept you treating them. They want you to treat them better than their men treat them. That's basically what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Excellent point.
Yeah, and mimicking, you know, how far is that gonna get you?
Gonna get you the same thing that the local men get. Nothing. The same. A bunch of kids, an alcohol problem. Let's talk about in my case, the Afro-Colombian community. Afro-Colombian men are known just for drinking and having a bunch of kids. So my competition really here in Colombia, if I'm real with it, it ain't that big. All I gotta do is just act like I got some dang sense in my head, which I do. You can outdo the average Afro-Colombian dude and get an Afro-Colombian woman. She treating you like she would never introduce her father to this dude until she got pregnant. But she want to introduce you to her dad because my dad knows English too. Man. And I would love to introduce you to my dad. Just on that scale, you do have a higher expectation because you also come on a higher class level. They don't expect men with class to act classless or to what term can I use? To mimic or almost imitate the classless men that they already deal with. Because just like one of you guys already said about women in the States, well, women that feel the same way in these foreign countries. Why should I get with you if you equivalent to what I already got here? Yeah. So there is a higher expectation of us. And with many of us being men of education and of drive, it's the same thing that's expected of us in the States if we were to get married in the States. We aren't expected to be pookies and ray-rays with all the education and business and the drive and desires that we have. So if we pretend to be a pookie and a ray-ray, sisters going to be looking at us. Let's say we were in the States. Sisters in the States will look at us like, what is wrong? What? I thought he was different, girl. I
thought you was different.
I didn't know he was like the rest of them. I thought you was. You see what I'm saying? They have a higher expectation of us. So it is with foreign women. When it comes to their local dudes, there is no jealousy, or if anything, I consider. And this is just Andre saying something for the first time. I consider Colombian men some of the weakest men I've ever seen. These dudes cry over everything. Where you at? Where you going? Yeah. Where you been? They want the female. She can have a girls' night. Andrea's girlfriend spent half the time texting these Negroes back. Baby, I've only had one girls' night in the last 5 months. Watch the kids. And the dudes be texting all night long. These dudes are ultra jealous, ultra sensitive. They will lose a job in the name of chasing down a female. Am I lying, guys, that deal with that watch Colombian dudes? Yeah. These are the softest. The machista comes off initially like he getting all the ladies. He tough, he strong hand. But when you watch it for what it is, you're like, you're soft. Y'all soft.
And it starts with the mother, because the mother, baby the son, like they treat the son like he is just like how how it is in the States, how like the girl gets to be babied and so forth. that's how they do the men. You know,
Yes,
they
do.
like I be looking at how my wife be treating her son. I be looking like, nah, man, you can't be like that with him. You know, he gonna need to toughen up. You know, be like, yo,
Man,
you can't be
my wife's
babying
brother
that.
like that. My wife's brother's like that. My wife's uncles are like that. My wife's mom has 7 kids, 4 girls, 3 boys. Every boy is made of gold. All the girls, the girls, I love them. But the boys, you can't tell Andrea's grandmama nothing about her baby boys. And these dudes in their 40s, you can't tell them nothing about her babies. And so it makes them, in my eyes, personally, when you've been mothered or baby like that, me being compared to a Colombian dude, I'm like, you Negro soft, dude. Y'all too soft for me. Or you come across as tough, oh man. And speaking this, I understand the bravado of manhood. I got you on that tough side. But at the end of the day, when it comes to relationships, you dudes can't compete. Y'all ain't no competition
It's
for
like
me.
the bravado in the hood in the States.
Yeah. Girl, Pookie can't compare to me. Stop it.
And I think Anthony said it best. He says basically Latin women treat their sons better than the daughters, and sometimes I can see that sometimes. You know, like as much as they give love to the daughters, but they baby their son.
My wife says that Colombian men are like Bugs Bunny. That's what she calls them, Bugs Bunny. I mean, from their stature to the way that they carry themselves. I mean, and Andre, tell me if this hasn't happened to you. When you walk into a gym, everyone stops to look at you because they haven't seen it.
Especially the type of energy we give off as American black men. There's a certain confidence in the air. Even Pookie got it, but a certain confidence in the air because we grew up hearing about stock market. Even if you ain't invested in it, you know what it is as a kid, and I mean, as a teen or in college, you grew up with a confidence of your television stars or your football stars being the best in the world, the number one actors in the world. You see what I'm saying? So when you go to these other countries, unless you reach for a J Balvin or a Bad Bunny, you don't know who their number one is because they ain't the number one in the. So we come across with the term hustler is a U.S. term. So even just walking in the gym without even trying to present that American energy. I remember one time somebody asked Andrea about her husband. She said, "Well, this is my husband." She pulled out the photo. Oh, he's not from here. And Andrea was like, "Yeah, he's from here." Just they were like, "No. No. Something in that photo, that energy that he's projecting in that photo shows us that brother ain't from here." And so they can tell, even though we have the complexion, but we do give off an energy. And then when we start speaking, that really confirms what they already thought within their minds, that person not from here. So we do have a higher standard, a higher expectation about us, because the Colombian man will, let's be real. Dudes in DR and dudes in Colombia ain't gonna compete with us for the most part on most levels, other than just having the kids.
I mean, we're accustomed to rising to the occasion.
Thank you. We used to being Samuel Jacksons, coming from being crackheads and going to the top. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like, my wife's father, he was out of town when we got married. And my pops was like, "Did you talk to her pops yet?" I'm like, "He was out of town." But even without my pops saying that to me, this is how I was raised, because that's my pops said it because he knows how we are. So after we got married, when I finally got to, holler at her pops, I'm like, "Look, and it's funny because I had my wife translate. She knew what I was going to say. I'm like, "Look, me and, your daughter got married, but even though we already married, I would like to receive your blessing, even though we've already done this." And, he was so impressed by the way I worded. I mean, he loves me. He was like, "Nah, you my son." What other dudes are doing, and the other dudes that, as far as me and her pops, I mean, we got a bond that can't be broken because of the way I stepped to him, once we got married. And I can tell that, he wasn't, it's not that whether he was expecting it or not, you know, because a daddy always gonna want, you know, he's always gonna expect, you know, the moon and the stars for his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But when I stepped to him and I said what I said and, you know, came at him the way I did, you know, it's like, you know, he loves me to death. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's like, no, you my son. And so, yeah, you know, we as, you know, we used to rising to the occasion. And mind you, we are the brothers that are married, you know. We are the brothers that, you know, we might not get recognized as the face of things, but we are. We are the brothers that have pioneered certain things that other brothers, you know, are still, you know, shying away from because of what people say. But nah, brothers, you know what I'm saying? We step to it and we make it happen.
Man, that
and they respect us for that.
One thing I'm hearing is that we are representing quality black men, and just the fact that we were raised or we know to reach out to the parents, whether it was a mother, you know, I reached out to my wife's father before, you know, before we got married, you know, because I've always had those traditional values, and I never was able to exercise them in the U.S. because I couldn't find a traditional woman to compliment me. But yeah, just the fact that hearing you guys, you know, have the know to get the blessings from the Father, you know, I mean, that speaks on just the type of black men that a lot of people say that wasn't out there that exists. So, you know, I mean, so it's good to hear that. I want to get another question to Todd, and then we could circle around. So we had these. So we had some discussions about traveling with our spouses, right? And I spoke to Andre about it and solo traveling. And what I noticed is that, you know, the Colombian passport and the Dominican is a little bit more stringent. There's a lot of limitations on international travel. Like, it's some countries that I want to go to later this year, and I'm looking on a website seeing what the visa free countries are, and I'm just like, man, like, it's, you know, it's going to be challenging. And I wanted to bring my wife. I want to go to South Africa this year, and South Africa is like a first world country. It's just like me trying to get her a tourist visa for the U.S. And Colombia don't have a lot of embassies, so they said that for her to she had to send her application to either Venezuela or Peru, and that's if we want to go to Thailand. So it was just like, so it made me realize, and then the flight prices going on the other side of the world is much more than going from the U.S. So you know, I want to just talk about certain challenges, you know, I mean, that, you know, I've incurred, and one of those things was, you know, traveling to different countries due to their weaker passport. You know, I don't know if you got anything you want to.
Yeah, that certainly is a limitation, you know, of traveling and that's one of the things that, you know, having that blue passport gives you, you know, access to a lot of places that other passports don't. That's for sure. Also, the language barrier too, because, you know, a lot of people in here in Colombia that I'm aware of, that they're not, you know, bilingual. Not a lot of people are bilingual that could go to other places and be able to have a quality experience. But, you know, there for me, there are plenty of places in South America that I'd like to go to as well. So that is not as much of an issue for me. But I will have to excuse myself at this particular point in time, because I do want to make sure I give my family the attention that I need to while we're here on vacation. But I just wanted to say, you know, I really appreciate each and every one of you. I'm really honored to be on this panel with you guys. I've learned a lot, and you know, I appreciate the fact that, you know, iron sharpens iron, and I've learned a lot from you guys. And I appreciate you guys for sharpening me as well. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming up, fam.
No, I appreciate it, man.
All right. Peace and success. Okay.
All right, Todd.
All right.
All right, Todd.
So
as it pertains to the weaker passports.
Well, I know one thing for me, I could say is that, you know, I'm taking my wife to about 4 or 5 different countries now. But see, the thing about it is that I take her all throughout Latin America, so it's a little different. I think that my issue that I had, which was the first time I ever had her go out, this one went before we were living together or anything like that. So the first time I had her fly out, it was trying to explain to her how the whole process works, as far as, you know, getting to the airport, as far as checking in, you know, having, you know, how to stack your bags, how to I'm sorry, not stack, but how to fill up your bags and so forth, not to make them over too heavy, or, you know, how to read the actual boarding pass. So it's like that becomes to be a stringent, you know, situation, because you know, dealing with someone that has never really traveled at all. Because for us, we take it for granted, because in the States, you know, we travel to different cities, you know, which is not a problem. So for them, you know, I think it was like before, wasn't until like after the 90s when they started moving around to different cities, you know, when they were able to move around. So a lot of them used to traveling by bus to different places. I know for my wife, you know, so she's from a small city, you know, she actually uses a bus to get to San Carlos from Medellin. So to say that is that trying to get them to understand how that whole process works sometimes could be stressful, but once they get it, it's even better. But I mean, I enjoy traveling with my wife, going to different cities, different countries. That is, man, from Peru, had a good time. Aruba, Mexico, Cancun, whatever you think of. You know, I'm still trying to take her to DR. You know, but you know, probably maybe this year we'll go to DR or whatever. But, you know, it's yeah. I gotta say what up, all you guys out there. But you know, it's a great experience for those of you that haven't traveled for foreign women. It's a great experience. You know, you definitely want to do that, especially, you know, I want to say any woman. You know, of course, your girlfriend or fiance, your wife. And you get to see how that whole experience is compared to dealing with an American woman, because like they have different characteristics that they do, such as, I mean, I was on a panel with No Excuse Passport podcast, and I was explaining one time how, you know, you could be staying at a hotel, although you have room service, but they will still clean up the room. They will not allow room service to come in there and clean up, you know, make the beds and things like that. So you start seeing different characteristics, you know, things like that, how they operate, you know, what they do at home, they take it with them on vacation, which I think is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny that you would say that part in regards to them taking their characteristics that they have at home and still taking it on the road. I remember off the beaten path just a little bit. I remember a YouTuber, Bo Ranks, did a video in DR about traveling to DR with his wife. This video is maybe like 3 or 4 years old, maybe about 2 or 3 years old, and it got over 1 million views. He was on the beach just by himself talking about, you guys are idiots if you can't take your wife to places and travel. What are you married to her for? Why you gotta lie about everything? And he just was saying, men, if you're gonna do this travel thing, be real with it. If you ain't, step back, because we know a lot of dudes that, you know, go to DR for the boys trip, but they never take their wives anywhere. Right. And so for me, when it comes to other, I was great. My point in saying that, it was great to see for the first time on YouTube a brother come out and say, hey, this traveling with your wife thing, there's nothing wrong with it. This is what you should be doing, and everything else should be secondary. Your boys trip you can still have that, but it should be a lot more trips with your wife or you with your significant other than boys trips after boys trips after boys trip. In saying that,
give me 1 second, Dre. Excuse me, fellas. I'm having a problem with my charger, and I don't want to drop out after I lose charge. Let me get it together, and I'm gonna pop back in.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And to piggyback off of what you're saying about the passports, I agree with you. There are certain countries that Andre and I easily can go to. For example, now they made UK easily accessible for Colombians. Right. So now we in the UK in a couple months. Seriously. So we're gonna be all around Europe. So that's cool. But you know, when we go to Norway, there's a form that needs to be filled out. And so those things that I kind of expect, but since we're relocating, a part of the strategy of our family is we want everyone in our family to have multiple passports. So here's what our plan is. Andre, step A, I'm eligible for my residency or my citizenship this year. So let's get that out of the way. So Andrea has dual passports. Now we're moving to Portugal. Bam. Andrea is going to be getting the dual passport because Portugal passport is really easy to get. Our kids, bam, from birth, born with 3 passports. So when it comes to the initial, as you were saying, Rob, in regards to that initial can't go here, can't go there, you're absolutely correct. So what we're doing is laying a foundation of passports, plural, for the future of our family. So I might not be able to go to certain countries with Andrea, but in the future, because she'll be able to pull out her Portuguese passport, she can get into certain countries that Colombian passport wouldn't get her into. So that's what we're working on right now. And if I know that it only take 4 or 5 years to get it done, it's nothing to us because we want to move over there anyway. A lot of her too. Yeah, a lot of her family moved to Europe just because they're like, I can't get to the United States. Cool, got you. Because I got my Colombian passport. She got family. Moved to Italy or Spain, doing their thing, got their Spain passport, got their Italian passport. They can jump to the United States without a visa all day long. It's just the strategic moves that you decide to make as a family unit for the long haul, the bigger picture that makes it more valuable. You might not be able to take her this year, but you say, you know what? I'm not going to let that stop me for our 5th year anniversary. We're going to do something about this. And so that's how Andrea and I kind of move when something tries to hold. Like I always say, I don't focus on problems. I focus on solutions. Problems only last for 5 minutes in my mind. Oh man, I got a flat tire. Oh my goodness. I give myself 5 minutes to fuss. Now it's time to focus on the solution from that forward on, from that moment on. I never, ever focus on problems. I 1000% focus on the solutions. So those are the solutions that we're having. And we're excited. We already talked to an attorney that all we have to do is once the child is born, show that I'm the daddy, she the mama, and whatever country that child is born, they get a passport there, they get a passport in Colombia, and they get a U.S. passport right out the gate, day one. Oh, man, I wish my parents was thinking like that.
I know.
In the words of Jay-Z, I got 5 passports, I'm never going to jail.
Exactly. And I don't call them problems, I call those opportunities.
Right.
That's what those are.
These were great thinkers, dude.
Hold on. Anthony Thomas said Colombia.